Yep, so that was a game. Today was a pretty bad day, not gonna lie. And I say that within the context of the NHL and the scores, not within life itself. You know, I think I'd be speaking for many people if I said that today was an alright day. I mean, the Canucks made a trade, Nikita Zadorov was coming over onto this team, pretty good acquisition in my opinion. I had ball hockey today, which started at 7, so I was not actually able to watch this Canucks and Vegas game. I scored 2 very nice assists, but ended up losing in the end by 1 goal. Last second goal, too. Pretty nuts. But despite all of that, despite me having a good, emotionally and physically fulfilling, demanding day, the Vancouver Canucks, they go out there and blow it. Today, they played off against the Vegas Golden Knights, a battle for number 1 in the Pacific Division by total points. Not by points percentage, but by total points because the LA Kings are unfortunately better than both of these teams. However, this was going to be a battle of 2 top 5 teams in the NHL. Along with the Rangers and the Bruins, Vegas and Vancouver have been so high up on everybody else this year. This was the first head-to-head matchup between Vancouver and Vegas, and as such was one of these games where a lot of people who are outside of Vancouver could say, okay, this is the first time in a while that Vancouver is actually playing off against a legit cup contending team. They've been beating down on bums. They got wins against Edmonton, they beat San Jose, and then they lost to San Jose. They beat Ottawa, they beat Montreal, they've beaten all these bad teams, but how are they going to fare against a good team? This could be a wagon of a matchup. And they blow it. 4-1 is the final score here for the Vegas Golden Knights on a day where everything kind of sucked elsewhere around the NHL. The Edmonton Oilers, they beat the Winnipeg Jets 3-1 in regulation. The Calgary Flames, they went out there and defeated the Dallas Stars in overtime. Seattle lost to Toronto in the shootout, but they still got a point. So all in all, today's Pacific Division standings, the out-of-town scoreboard was not in Vancouver's favor, and today's game against Vegas definitely did not help them in that respect. With that being said, though, I will say, since I didn't watch the majority of this game, I only really stuck around for the ending parts of the third period because I was coming back from ball hockey. I will say that based off of what I'd been seeing, based off of what I read, based off of the small highlights that I did see, Vegas played probably one of their best games in weeks tonight against Vancouver. The head-to-head matchup of the Jack Eichel line versus the JT Miller line was so dominant in Vegas's favor that, I mean, look, Jack Eichel going out there with the multi-points before the third period, 2 goals, 1 assist, Barbashev getting on the board as well. Vegas just had a mission here, and they wanted to prove to everybody that, hey, the champ is here, we are still good, and we can play off against these top NHL teams and make it look like nobody's business. Just total domination and having great goaltending on top of that to keep us in it. Vancouver ended up chasing Adin Hill out after the second period, not because Adin Hill was bad, he was up 3-0 to start out the third, but because there were some injury concerns that Hill ended up suffering, which is why he left the game. Logan Thompson came in instead, and the Canucks were able to score 1 goal on him. Andrei Kuzmenko, assisted by JT Miller and Brock Besser, is what puts Vancouver up on top, and I'm going to be honest, when it comes to the goal, I could not care less about the result. I just care about the fantasy points. You see, Kuzmenko, Miller, they've been on my fantasy team the entire time. I was very happy to see the results of some of these players. JT Miller getting a bunch of hits, and of course the assist. Andrei Kuzmenko got a block. Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, they're also on my team, but hey, I probably would have wanted more out of these guys. On the other side, I'm pretty sure there's somebody else in my league that has Barbashev and Eichel, and I think maybe Pietrangelo on the same team, so yeah, that guy's eating good tonight. But Vancouver ends up losing what I'm just going to call a dud game against the Vegas Golden Knights, a game where you could debate they played well, based off of some of the results, based off of what I'm seeing a lot of people are saying, but a game where Vegas just showed up and said, yeah, we're going to win this game, and there's nothing you can do about it. At least the Kuzmenko goal looked pretty nice, right? Centering feed from JT Miller, Kuzmenko just absolutely leans into that snapshot as he beats the goaltender Logan Thompson. That goal had some big Chris Paul hits a 3 to cut the lead down to 42 vibes, but at the end of the day, I like the stat padding, it's totally okay for my fantasy team. The Canucks ended up losing, though, and at the point that the game was at in that situation, like, you're down 4-0, there's not really anything else to learn, right? Like, you could debate, okay, it's down 3-0. End of the second. It becomes 4-0, 16 seconds into the third period. This is at the time when I actually started listening to the game on the radio on the drive home. But when it's 3-0, 4-0, third period, there's nothing more to learn. The game's already over. You know Vegas is not going to let up 4 goals in one 20-minute span. So Vancouver ended up losing the game by the time I started watching it already, and I don't know, what else is there to talk about? You're going to have dud games, you're going to have bad games, you're going to have games where you could debate the better team lost. You could have games where you could say that the team you watched just didn't show up. You could debate that in that San Jose game, the second one, Vancouver just didn't show up, and it was embarrassing that they didn't. They lost to a San Jose Sharks team that is last in the league. This Vegas game, though, I don't think you could make the same conclusion. You could say that, okay, yeah, they didn't show up well, or they didn't respond well. Vegas had a system and Vancouver couldn't contain it. But at the end of the day, they lost to a really good team that just played some really good hockey. Probably some of the best hockey they've played in a long time. So, at the end of the day here, I mean, let's go over to the out-of-town scoreboard once again and try to check up with what else is going on around the league, because Nikita Kucherov ended up getting multiple points for the Lightning. JT Miller got 1, so he is still up there as the second overall point guy in the NHL. Brock Besser didn't get any goals tonight, but that's okay because Nikita Kucherov did not. He is still at 15. Quinn Hughes is still number 1 in points for defensemen, still 1 up on Cale Makar. Philip Hronek got overtaken by Victor Hedman today, so that's interesting to see. Speaking about Hughes, though, Luke Hughes got a whole bunch of points, putting himself right behind Connor Bedard for the rookie scoring race. That's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on as well. I gotta ask, if Luke Hughes ends up, like, finishing right behind Bedard in the points race, does he get more Calder votes instead because he's a defenseman? I get it, you could say that Chicago is a much worse team, and that Luke is playing on that number 1 power play, but still, just something to think about. But to end off this video, I wanted to toss out a few more ideas. Obviously, I didn't get into the nitty-gritty details, you know, the deep, intricate analysis of whatever it is that happened in the game. Not that I normally do that, it's just kind of, you know, I didn't watch this one, so I'm just kind of going off the top here. What I wanted to end this video off was a thought process idea. Because Vancouver, for the first time since, I don't know, not the San Jose game, that's a little bit of an easy target. Maybe for the first time since maybe Philadelphia, third game of the year, you could say, I feel like the Vancouver Canucks in this game had themselves just a total dud showcase. There may be some other games throughout there where you could say, yeah, they probably lost and they didn't look good in the process, total dud game. But my question is, how the hell do the Calgary Flames end up challenging Vancouver on Saturday? Because the Canucks, I mean, they're getting a defenseman from Calgary. He's joining the team tomorrow. This team is going to play off against his old team on Saturday. And if Rick Tocchet is going to use this loss against Vegas to ignite some different types of play or give a little bit of a different pep talk for this team, my question is, how the hell are the Vancouver Canucks going to respond on Saturday? It's not that they may have played the worst hockey imaginable tonight, but they got outcoached. They got outplayed. They played off against a really good team, and they lost pretty badly. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Vancouver Canucks and the terrible day that was, November 30th, 2023. Vegas regulation win. Edmonton regulation win. Calgary overtime win. Seattle shootout loss. Vancouver regulation loss. All the Pacific teams going out there and doing some damage, except for Vancouver. Thank goodness LA isn't playing today, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.